finish this out. Video number 4, last and final. We ended with the nullification crisis, South Carolina bowing up to the national government, John C. Calhoun telling Jackson, I'm not going to pay your tariffs, I'm going to nullify this law. Jackson pretty much said, sit down and shut up. South Carolina did not get to nullify the law, but I will tell you that South Carolina did get the tariffs lowered. So did they kind of get what they want? They sure did. And it's going to teach the South when they flip out and they throw a fit, they get what they want. It's kind of like a kid in the candy store. I'm going to cry if I don't get my candy bar. So I'm going to cry and cry and cry. And finally, you're going to give me the candy bar. The next time we're in the candy store, guess what I do? And I know I'll get a candy bar. So that's exactly what happened. One last thing we got to know about, really, with the Jacksonian era, okay, is the bank war. Now, the Bank of the United States, we've already talked about this. This was Hamilton's creation. Jefferson hated it. And remember, Jackson thinks of himself as a Jacksonian, or as a Jeffersonian Democrat, even though I don't think Jefferson would be very happy with that because of his lack of emphasis on education. Now, y'all don't really have this slide, but I do want you to kind of listen to this. The Bank of the United States, although it was privately owned by this guy named Nicholas Biddle, this is going to be a possible quiz question, received the federal deposits and attempted to kind of own and take care of public purpose by cushioning the ups and downs of the national economy. The government is taking and owning the Bank of the United States, but a lot of the times the bank would support the rich. Well, Jackson thinks he's a champion for the common man, so he wants to dismantle the bank. Now, with that, there is going to be some situations that arise. Now, the 1832 election, this is Jackson's second election. You're going to notice again, Jackson won with 76% of the vote. 54% of the popular, 76% for the electoral. Now, Jackson, in the right-hand corner, pausing this and getting it down, opposed the bill. Pause it, get it down. Now, with Jackson opposing the bill and to support the Second Bank of the United States, he thought it was special privileges for the rich. He wants to be a common man, and this actually won him re-election, this bank war. And he takes on this guy named Nicholas Biddle. And he calls it Biddle's Bank, and he says he's going to dismantle it because it's not for the people, it's for the rich. And it really does get a lot of people's attention. So when this bank war happens, okay, he is actually going to have to veto the rechartering of the bank. And this kind of a little bit blurry, but it says, oh, do you declare the law unconstitutional? That's cute, veto. Because the bank technically can't be declared unconstitutional. But here's what happens. The rechartering, where basically they refinance the bank through Congress, pass a law, gets vetoed by Jackson. So Jackson won at whatever way he needed to. Doesn't respect what it was going on, necessarily balance of powers or whatever, but he gets what he wants. Okay? That's why sometimes we say, is he a champion for the common man, or is he King Andrew? Texas Revolution. I'm just going to let you pause this, get it down. All right, now I do not teach a ton on this. In fact, if you need to study up on Texas history, you go for it, okay? But I don't teach a lot of it. In fact, this might be one of the only slides. Texas Revolution, 1836. It's going to happen around this time period. The Republic of Texas is created with Sam Houston chosen as president. You guys know this. We live in Texas. Texas represented and requested annexation by the U.S., but Jackson actually refuses in order to avoid a war with Mexico. He actually denied them admission. He also didn't want to disrupt the Democratic Party and any anti-slavery Northerners, because here's the deal. If Texas was going to be added, it was going to be added as a slave state. And it actually did get added as a slave state in 1845. So you need to know, just in the back of your mind, that's kind of going on. Now, Martin Van Buren, pause this, get it down. Okay, he is going to come after Jackson. Jackson leaves office. Martin Van Buren comes in. This is also going to be the birth of the Whig Party. That's probably the number one thing you got to circle right here. You got to know where my Whigs start. My Whigs, by the way, might be a good quiz question, turns into the, anybody remember what party? Republicans. If you look back on my back wall, you'll notice the Whigs are pink. Republicans are in red. That'll be Abraham Lincoln. So basically, they oppose Jackson and Van Buren. Van Buren's administration, I'll be honest with you, not that great. We don't learn very much about him. You need to know there was an economic panic in 1837 because there was an overextension of credit and crop failures. He was a one-term president. Nobody remembers anything about Martin Van Buren. I have a really good commercial on Martin Van Buren we'll watch in class, but that's pretty much all you need to know. Birth of the Whig Party, basically because people hate him and Van Buren and Jackson so much, they kind of clump up together. They create the Whigs. The Whigs created the Republicans. I'll be honest with you, the Republicans of today kind of were created because people hated Jackson and Van Buren. What it comes down to. Now, the Whigs do take hold because obviously Jackson was running amok. King Andrew. These two gentlemen are going to come in. Harrison, William Henry Harrison, okay, and Tyler, President Tyler, are Whigs being elected to their first president in 1840. But when William Henry Harrison, this is hilarious. Oh, such a good quiz question. He gives the longest inauguration speech, 2 hours, in the dead of winter without an overcoat because he thinks that if I wear an overcoat, I'm going to look weak. So he doesn't wear a coat. He gives a 2-hour speech. He catches pneumonia and he dies a month later. Genius. Absolute genius. So the next time you're walking out the door and she goes, "Where's your coat?" You think about William Henry Harrison, okay? William Henry Harrison dies. John Tyler, his VP, takes over and serves 1 term before being voted out for James Polk. So the Whigs are going to come, and they're going to come fast. They pretty much were in opposition to Jackson, but that is about what we're looking at. Now you'll notice at the bottom I have a T-chart era of good feelings or sectional differences. The last thing I want you to do is I want you to take and I want you to go through these notes. I want you to pick out 3 good things that happened during this time period, 3 things that are leading to the Civil War, and I will be checking for it. You will have a quiz over all of this.